guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be talking about mental health, and I thought this might be kind of interesting to do some of these type of videos on my channel once in a while. So yeah, and today I have a guest.
Hello.
This is my husband.
My name is Christian.
Yeah, I'm sure maybe a few of you might have recognized him because he's been on my channel before. But yeah, today we're going to talk about anxiety and a little bit of what that is, and kind of my tips on how to cope with it. And the funny thing is, we actually recorded this video yesterday, the exact same video, but the entire time it wasn't recording any audio.
Yep.
So we went home and that sucked. So now we're doing it again.
Yep, at least we get to be out here again, so.
That's true. But yeah, so I have anxiety. He doesn't have anxiety.
Yeah, I don't really have anxiety, but sometimes I do get nervous, but it's not the same.
Yeah, that's a different type of thing. Like, everybody gets like anxious once in a while, right? When you're nervous about something about to happen. Like, that's normal anxious or anxiety. But when you're diagnosed with anxiety, it's actually a mental illness. So it's an anxious feeling that you don't want to feel, basically 24/7, even in circumstances that wouldn't normally make you feel nervous.
Yeah.
So that's what, yeah, I was diagnosed with that. So interesting is about 18% of American adults in the United States suffer from this condition. So it's actually the most common mental illness. But the good thing is it's also one of the most treatable. So if you see a therapist or if you use some medicine or a bit of both, that can be a really good treatment option. But aside from that, there's ways to cope with it on a daily basis.
Yeah, and maybe we can start by, you just telling us, how do you feel when you go through an anxiety attack?
So I guess there's actually a difference between anxiety and anxiety attacks.
Oh, okay.
Those are two, I mean, they're both similar, but anxiety attack is like even worse, right? That can come. But basically with anxiety, there's a lot of different symptoms, but what I tend to feel is one of the most things that happen, or main things, is that my mind doesn't stop going ever. I'm always thinking, and I'm overthinking, and I'm overanalyzing, and I'm quite the worrier, and I think worst case scenarios, and I think that I'm the 1% chance of the worst things are about to happen. So that's just, my mind's always going and it will never shut off. So it can be really draining because you're always thinking, but you're always thinking of negative things, and you don't want to. You can't help it.
Yeah.
So that's something, and it's hard because I have a hard time falling asleep sometimes at night. Because you just keep thinking.
And I find it really interesting, that part, because you see, I don't have any issues falling asleep. I fall asleep fairly easily, but I do know that, Katya, since she unfortunately suffers from this type of anxiety, that it could take a little bit longer for her to fall asleep. And, it's like she said, right? It's a very overactive mind. You're always thinking about things. You're always worried about things, preoccupied about things. Mm-hmm. And for me personally, I just don't really think about those type of things at night. I literally just fall asleep.
I mean, generally women do think more, and then men, like when it comes to going to sleep, men fall asleep easier for those reasons. But with anxiety, whether you're a male or female, it's even worse because you're overthinking, right? And you're not... With anxiety, you tend to think of things in the past and in the future. It's very, very hard for people with anxiety to think just in the present moment or to be in the moment. Your mind is always somewhere else, and worrying about the next day and thinking of what could have been done. And so, yeah, it's really hard. And that type of worrying and negative pessimism, whatever, it can actually make you kind of feel depressed because you're always in a low mood, right? But yeah, another thing I would say for symptoms would be you tend to feel like you have a lot of adrenaline. So that saying, fight or flight, where you're unconscious, you're on constant watch for danger. In a normal setting, when you're worried about a bear coming to attack you, that's good. But with anxiety, you tend to feel like you're always on alert all the time. There's always danger. And you always have to be alert. And so that kind of like, I get startled very easily, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times when I'm walking in the house or, just coming towards her and she has no idea that I'm there and she freaks out. Like, she just freaks out. And it could be that I walk very quietly.
You do.
I've always been told that I walk like a cat.
Kind of like a mouse.
No one can really hear me walk from behind and then they freak out.
Yeah. But like generally people who have anxiety are very startled easily, just freaked out easily because they're kind of like always on alert. So they're just like, all the time. And I think when you have a lot of things going on in your mind, it can also affect your gut. So you can have stomach aches, things like that.
Yeah.
I get really sweaty hands, like really cold, clammy hands. As soon as I'm feeling anxious, my hands will just, like, it's almost like there's no circulation in them anymore.
Yeah, that's true. And, for that, you can take, you can drink some ginger ale because it has ginger. Or you can take, what else is that thing you take? It's like some kind of a pepper.
Pepper? Ginger?
Oh, ginger. Yeah, just ginger.
I think ginger's good for blood circulation, but in this case, that doesn't have anything to do with
circulating.
Oh,
sorry.
It's just you're not really having a circulation problem. It's kind of what it feels like. Right?
It helps me.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have anxiety, that helps for blood circulation. And I think that a lot of people tend to do like some people, like they, scratch their knuckles or they have some kind of a bad habit that helps release their anxiety, but it actually is hurtful to themselves. So for me, like, I bite my lips a lot. Like, I'm really anxious, I'll bite my lips to the point where it starts to bleed, and I didn't even know I was biting my lips. But then I noticed because they're bleeding, and then I stop myself. So that can be just from like the constant state of anxiety. You're like, I've actually been told that by my friends my whole life. You stop biting your lips.
Yeah, she does that quite often. Usually when she's very anxious or stressed. Mm-hmm. But I've noticed that, and I've tried to tell her, like, sweetie, you're biting your lips, and then she notices, and then she tries to stop. But it's hard to just stop.
Yeah, I've literally been doing it since I was 4 years old. So most likely I'll never stop biting my lips, but I catch myself sometimes, and yeah. And you also, with anxiety, you tend to feel like, at least for me, I feel like I'm just going through the motions in life. Like sometimes I feel like I'm just doing things to do them, but I'm not actually present in them. Because you're so detached sometimes, because you're just in your mind and in your thoughts, that you're like, I'm doing things, but I'm not really in it. I'm not really doing it. Yeah. It's hard to explain. Like, it's like you're looking from the outside in your own life sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's a bit of a challenge for many people, is living in the present moment. Mm-hmm. You can go to a park and sit down and enjoy nature and enjoy the natural beauty. But if your mind is very active and you're worrying about things and you're worrying about this and that and financial stuff and, family things, it's hard for you to be in the present moment and just enjoy and soak in where you are, right?
That's true. And like some people might wonder, like, what causes anxiety? Like the anxiety disorder. Like most people, or like, statistics say it comes from either genetics or childhood trauma, or maybe a mixture of both. So that's usually what will trigger someone to have it. But there's ways that, like I said, you can go see a therapist or medicine. And if you're actually having a lot of issues right now while you're watching this video, it's, go Google, anxiety treatment or anxiety help lines. There's a lot of that stuff out there, especially if you're, dealing with suicide thoughts or anything like that. But usually for me, things that I do to kind of like help in the moment, because these things won't take it away, but like permanently, but I find that it kind of like distracts me or helps me when I'm feeling really anxious. So the first thing that I find helps is being in nature. So kind of like where we are right now, being outdoors is really nice and calming for the mind. Yep. Listening to the water. If you have the beach, you're super lucky, because the ocean is literally what makes me feel better. Like, I go to sleep with ocean sounds on my phone, but it's not real ocean, it's not the ocean, but that's how much it helps me, that I've actually downloaded an ocean app.
Yeah. Like she said, nature sounds, or listen to some nice music. Mm-hmm. something that personally helps me, I know this may sound weird to a lot of people, but when I'm kind of stressed or down or something, and if I have any issues falling asleep, what I do is I go on YouTube and I type in ASMR, which I don't know what that stands for, but what it is it's very soft, soothing sounds. And it's, for me, it's kind of like yoga, and it calms me down. It makes me feel just de-stressed.
Yeah, you find your breathing slows down.
Yeah, and you know, it's just a very soft, soothing way to relax.
Mm-hmm. First time he showed me that, I thought it was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell is this? But I understand the science behind it. It is very calming.
Yeah. I mean, it does seem kind of creepy, but it works.
Yeah, it works.
Really
if
does.
it works, then whatever, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, nature's really good. I mean, just go for walks, getting some exercise. It's really good, sending good endorphins to your body. Nature always connects us back to our soul, and you just feel more alive. And, you know, you just... watching a sunset is just so nice for the mind. So I like to be out in nature as much as possible. The next thing I would say, kind of along what you're saying, was music. But like, I love music all the time, but especially when I'm feeling really stressed or anxious, I tend to find that music is kind of an escape for me. Especially if I'm feeling really down, sometimes I'll be kind of like sappy and listen to sad music to like kind of let it out. But generally I want to listen to something opposite. So if I'm really stressed or down, I'll listen to like the complete opposite, like rap or techno or hip hop, because it kind of forces you to be kind of like in a good mood and think about something else and just brighten up your spirits a bit. So listening to music is really helpful to me. The next thing is talking about it. So if you're feeling like really anxious, you can try to bottle it in. Like 90% of the time, that's what I do. I'm anxious all the time, but I just keep it to myself. But sometimes he'll notice that I'm being anxious.
Yeah, like I can usually read through her eyes what she's feeling, and you just want to talk about it and see what's happening, and just try to lend a sense of support. I think for people like me, it's hard to fully understand what anxiety feels like when you don't have that problem. So you don't know fully well what can trigger someone from having like an anxiety attack or something similar. But I think it's just really important to just try to be very well at communicating with that person and just do your best to try to understand what they're going through and just be helpful in that sense.
Yeah, I think like that's like you said, I think the best thing you can do for someone who's having anxiety is just listen to them, listen to what they're saying, because it really helps the person get stuff off their chest. And when you do that, you just feel like a little bit like the burden is off a bit, and yeah, it just really helps me. And the best thing is never tell someone with anxiety, don't worry, or tell them or give them statistics. Oh, statistically, this is not going to happen, because anxiety is emotion. So you're not going to be using logic. Even if you're the smartest person on the planet, anxiety, you're just thinking of the emotional part. So the best thing to do is not to tell someone to not feel that way, but just give them a hug, tell them that they're there for you, tell them it's going to be okay, things like that. You don't have to say you don't have to say I understand. You don't have to say that. Just that you'll be there for them. Yeah,
and you know what? I really agree with that, because there was a long time ago when I tried my best to try to show her, facts and statistics, and you're not going to die on the airplane, or we're not going to die if we go to the mountains,
or you're not going to get this disease.
But it's not that. It's not that the person doesn't want to listen to facts or statistics. It's when they're going through an anxiety issue, that stuff just doesn't really work.
It kind of goes in one ear and out the other. Like, you hear it, you know it, but it doesn't really do anything. It just doesn't. So, unfortunately, I wish it did, but it doesn't. So, yeah. Like, I'm a kind of a hypochondriac because of my anxiety, so I worry about my health, and, like, I think things are going to happen to me over someone else. And even though people are like, oh, statistically, you're not going to get this illness. I'm like, I'm not 1%, though.
Yep.
Because that's how I'm, like, yeah, so it's a little annoying. But anyways, so I would say talking. Another thing is tea and candles. If you just set like the room with some candles and like have some nice tea, like chamomile is really calming on the body. It kind of just slows your, your breathing down, it slows your blood pressure down, it puts you into a more relaxed state. And in the Danish culture, which is where I'm from, Denmark, candles is very hygge, so it's like a very cozy state of being, and you're just more distracted and calm when you're around candles and that kind of thing. So try to do that every day. Try to have at least half an hour to yourself where you drink some tea, light a candle. It's nice.
ASMR.
And ASMR. You can even do all that at the same time. You can listen to that with tea and candles. Even better. But yeah, another thing I would say is, for me, this is really, it helps me, but I know it's not the best because it costs money and it can become a very bad addiction, but is shopping. So because I love fashion, I like to be at the mall or like even just online shopping, and I like to look at the newest trends and all the shiny, glittery stuff. And it kind of like, it puts me in a completely different world. Like while I'm at the mall, I'm just somewhere else. So I don't have to worry about my problems anymore. So it really helps, but it doesn't have to be shopping. It could be a sport, whatever your hobby is, try to immerse yourself in it. Even if you don't feel in the best mood, pushing yourself to do something like that, it will kind of just help, at least in the moment, which is all you can really ask for in life, is to be happy in the moment, right? And the next thing I think that helps is writing in like a journal maybe. So it's kind of the same thing as talking to someone. It's like letting out your emotions. But writing is very therapeutic. It gets your thoughts and your worries down on paper, so it kind of feels like you're releasing the burden. But also sometimes you can look back and you can see how your life was, or you can see your growth. I just think it's really fun to journal, and you can get a nice cute notebook and write things. I don't know if you recommend journals for guys, but what about for guys who have anxiety? You think journaling would be good? I know they still say that, but I think it would work.
I mean, if you like to write down things, sure. For me personally, when I'm feeling the closest to being anxious about something, what I usually tend to do is I just go on YouTube and I watch funny videos, or I like to listen to sports talk shows, or I like to watch sports,
So you
or I
also
like
watch
to
something entertaining.
watch movies. Yeah, just I guess like something just to take my mind off of it, or I go to sleep. I just take a nap.
Good sleep.
Generally, I feel better when I wake up. So
Yeah, I would say that with people with any kind of mental illness, sleep is very important. Getting enough sleep, because if you don't get enough sleep, you need to get at least 6 to 8 hours of a night. Your mind is not going to work properly. So if you're already suffering from mental illness and you're not giving your brain enough rest, it's going to be so much worse. So make sure you sleep enough. That's really important.
Yep.
Just to deep breathe and try to focus on the moment, even though that's almost very impossible with anxiety. But when I'm having an anxiety attack where I feel like my heart's racing or I'm just hyperventilating, I find that if I just I just focus on my breath and try to breathe slower, then my anxious feeling also tends to go down a little bit. And when you focus on the present moment, you're not worrying. You're just thinking of right now. So try to do that a little bit. Meditation. I know it can be hard with anxiety, but if you get used to it, you'll start to clear your mind and not have those thoughts in your head.
Yep.
But that's a good option. But yeah, if you have any other tips on what you do with your anxiety, leave them down in the comments, because I'm sure other people would benefit from that, and I would also like some more tips because I still struggle with it.
Yeah, and you know what? We're not professionals, right?
Yeah.
We don't claim to be. So this isn't some type of scientific proof here.
No.
But if you really do have an issue with this and you need some real professional help, then we recommend you go see like an actual therapist or something.
Yeah, because they can actually diagnose you. They can give you real tips, and if you need medicine, sometimes medicine is the best for some people. Some people's anxiety is bad, but they can get through the day. Other people, it's so bad that they literally can't leave their bedroom. Yeah. So
books can help too.
Yeah, reading a book.
There's all kinds of books. I would also say there's other things that can help you as well with mental health, such as exercising more.
Yeah.
Changing your environment. Sometimes the situation that you're in isn't very well. It's not very conducive to the type of person that you are or what you're going through. So you want to sometimes change things up. Maybe you want to find a routine so that you feel more organized in your life. Just things like that can help as well.
Yeah, that's true. And I do want to say that there's some people that tend to say they have anxiety when they really don't, and it's almost like it's become a trendy or popular to say, "Oh, I have anxiety." But it's a little bit, you know, rude for those people who actually suffer with it because they don't know how it actually feels to have to live with it. It's not something that's just easy, right? Like it is a struggle. So, but yeah, but if you do have it, I'm giving you a hug because I understand. And yeah, I hope this video was kind of helpful for you. What do you think it is? What it's like to live with someone with anxiety from an outsider perspective?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. It gives a unique opportunity to understand and learn something that you didn't understand before. Um, and with that, you get to grow with the person because you're working through something together. It's not, in our case, it's not just a her thing. It's we work as on it together, and I think that's kind of special, you know.
Having a support system is very important.
Yeah.
With any illness, whether it's a physical illness or a mental illness, you know.
Yeah, and so I would say a key for someone like me to support is to just try to be understanding.
Yeah.
You know, just be supportive, and I think that's all that they want from us.
Yes.
If you like this video, please give it a like. Please give it a comment as well. Tell us what you want us to make.
Yeah, do you want to see more of my husband on my channel? Maybe we can do some other type of talking videos, or maybe we can do some kind of like a fashion challenge video.
Yeah, and please subscribe. What we want to do is for her channel is, you know, we want to talk about different topics from mental health to, you know, finding your new sense of fashion. You know, you don't want to walk around like a slob in public. So we want to just kind of see what can come out of that. And we also want to just delve into some funny stuff.
Yeah, or maybe like leave a comment down below of a topic you'd want us to talk about. That could be interesting if there's like something, as long as it's not too inappropriate, but yeah. But anyways, yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing the little water behind us. Maybe it's a little calming for you to watch. And yeah, see you guys in my next video. What?
It wasn't.
Yeah, it was.